Today we're going to go change the alternator on a 1995 Ford Windstar. This is the 3.8 and this is the one that's built in April, so it's the second generation or whatever, because the first one they made it a little bit differently and they adjusted stuff. But this changing of the alternator will work for any car. It's obviously going to be a little bit different. This is a front-wheel drive car, so the engine's mounted sideways, so the alternator is going to be on the side, but it's even easier on a car that has a rear-wheel drive engine setup. Yeah, so let's get started. The first step to removing the alternator is removing the negative battery terminal, and we're going to do that right now. What you need is a 5/16 ratchet. Loosen this up, wiggle it off, and make sure it's not touching any metal. You don't want it to ground itself. And now you're ready to take apart the alternator, which is located right here. Here are all the tools you will need to do the alternator. This could just be a regular wrench, it just happens to fit really well. This is to get the belt off, to attach to the belt tensioner. It's 15 millimeters. Now a regular ratchet, your ratchet converter goes from a large ratchet to a small one. 15 millimeter, 13 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and 10 millimeter long, and the pliers. The next step is to find the tensioner pulley, and you want to get the belt off. So the tensioner pulley, this is the pulley for the alternator, as you can tell. Tensioner pulley is in the back right here. To get the belt tensioner pulley off, I actually decided I'm going to use a 15 millimeter ratchet. My bolt is a little bit stripped, so I needed something a little bit smaller, and 15 millimeter should work. So again, you stick it all the way in the back onto the bolt for the tensioner pulley, and you pull towards me, and this belt is loose. See how it comes loose? And then slowly let go. Be very careful, because your fingers are going to be close to the stuff back here. Okay, so now you have the belt off, and I actually have the ratchet on the tensioner pulley right now. You can see it there, and the belt is loose. So I could leave that there for when we install the alternator. I'm taking the alternator off now, and then I'm going to go get an alternator. There is a core charge, so might as well bring it into the shop where you get your parts, so you could get the core charge right away. So now we're going to take off the stuff that leads to the alternator, the electrical stuff, such as this bolt right here. We're going to take off this bolt that connects the main electrical line to the alternator that charges the battery. That comes off like that. And then there's clips in here to get these other wires off. I'll actually show you guys up close so you can see. So we got this off. We want to get these clips off here and here so that we could disconnect the alternator completely. Use a flathead screwdriver to lift the tab up and pull out. There we go. See, we want to get the screwdriver in here so it pushes this little tab holder out. And the same thing goes with this. Get the flathead screwdriver in between the tab. Try to pull from the actual plastic so that you don't break it. And there you go. So there's everything disconnected. Now we're actually going to unbolt the alternator. So now we're going to take off the alternator itself. So we have to unbolt this bracket and unbolt this bolt right here. Both of those should come right out. First bolt down here is a 15 millimeter. just like that. Good. And leave it in there so that the alternator doesn't drop. This bolt up here is 13 millimeters. After unbolting this, we want to unbolt this bolt right here, and that is going to be 10 millimeters. So now hang on, when this is coming off, hang on to your alternator because your alternator will drop at this point. So here's that bolt. In order to tilt the alternator back without hitting this support bar, we're going to take off this last bolt down here. It's 13 millimeters. And we're just going to unscrew that. And then this will come out. So after you get that metal bar off, this right here is preventing the alternator from coming out. So you just take a nice pliers and you squeeze down on this like that and give it a twist. Oh, and then the alternator will pop out like that. And there you go. You have your old alternator that doesn't work anymore for your core charge. The core charge on this was 30 bucks. The alternator was like 165 or something like that. Give you an idea of a price range. Maybe you could do better, but this needs to get done quickly. Now off to the parts store. Just got back from the parts store again. They gave me the wrong alternator, but now I have the hopefully right one. We'll find out in a few minutes. But brand or refurbished, so semi brand new, but lifetime warranty, and looks good. So with the Windstars, there's actually two different versions. There's a version 1 and version 2, and you want, if your car was the early build, that's version 1. It has a gray one of these. This is white, but it has a gray one. And version 2, which is the later version of this car, has a white one of these. That's like a voltage regulator. So, to put this back on, first step is make sure you orient it the right way. So, you want this sticking up and out, along with these pieces here, up and out. So we're gonna go and put that right in here. Kind of wedge it in to, I'll show you where I'm wedging it in. So this piece right here is really tight, so you kind of just shake it in so it wedges in here, and yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. There we go. Then we take the big bolt and stick the big bolt in here and try to align the hole with the big long bolt and the alternator. There we go. And then just thread it a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now that that's in, let's get this metal piece that we took off, we're gonna put back on. So the first step to get this back on would be to align it at this bolt point right here. So put this on here, and then we will want to just put that on like that. Just tighten it down a little bit, just so it can still move around, because we're going to adjust stuff as we go. Okay, now we're going to put this smaller stud, smaller bolt down at the bottom. It's kind of hard to reach down there, but you want to put this back where it came from. Okay, so you don't want to snug anything up just yet. You just want to get it on there so it's on there. Don't tighten it down. And the reason why we do that is so everything's adjustable, because this is like a whole dynamic rig here. So once you get everything kind of screwed in, then you start snugging it down. And you want to make sure that everything is parallel to the other pulleys. Now we snug everything down, so I'm going to start out with this 15mm long bolt. Get this one decently tight, because this one is a pivot point. You obviously don't want to over tighten anything. There are torque specs, I don't know what they are, but just get the feel for it. So that's pretty good for that. Let's see, the next one we could do is, let's do the bottom one here. So now we use a 10mm and tighten this one down. This one connects to the alternator and this metal bracket. Feels pretty good. And then the last one. And this one is 13mm. Okay, so now that those are all on there, let's get our connectors. This one that goes in here, we have to make sure that's really snug, otherwise the battery light will come on. So we'll put that one in first. All it is push in, you snip, and then it clicks. You heard that click. Same with this one. Make sure it's oriented right, push it in until it clicks. Make sure they are all the way in. And then this one, we put on right here. This one we go right in there and snug this down. Now we're tightening this up. And this is a 10mm. Put this on there nice and snug. There we go. And then we'll cover it with this cap to keep it clean. Like that. So all the bolts are bolted down snug. We'll go through the process real quick, make sure you follow everything. So this is snug down, this up top, this on the side, and this down right down there. Those 4 bolts are snug down. All our connections are done properly. Now it's time to get the belt on. So to get the belt on, what you do is, first thing you do is you make sure all the rest of your belt pieces are on what they're supposed to be on, down at the bottom. Good. And then, okay, so the belt is on all the other pulleys correctly. Okay? And then you just grab your ratchet that wrench that you left back there, and you pull towards you, and you try to slip this on. This can be a little bit difficult, especially because in this car there's no room for a breaker bar. Okay, there we go. So now that the pulley is on, the belt is on the pulley, we give it one final check. That's good. Everything's connected. So now we're going to connect our negative battery terminal. We'll tighten that down, but I just want to see this baby start up. So here it goes. The reason why I knew the alternator was bad was because the battery died and the battery light was on, and the battery is brand new, and I tested out the voltage for when the car was running, and there was no power coming from the alternator. So the battery died, but I just charged the battery. You don't want to have your alternator charge a depleted battery, because that could put a lot of stress and wear and tear on your alternator. So I charged the battery, and we're about to see if it starts up. Okay. So everything looks good. Now the next thing would be to check to see if we want to see. Okay, good. So there's no lights on saying that the battery is no good or the alternator is no good. And that's it. We just changed the alternator. This could apply to any car, really. Every car is going to be a little different, but that's how you do a Ford Windstar. And now you know how to do other cars. Some cars have their own little differences, different locations for the bolts, but that's basically it. Hope it helped.